I'm all up in the clouds when it's pouring rain. Ain't never coming down unless you call my name. Yeah, we should take it slow, just like day by day. Like day by day. You're the only sunset that I'll never forget.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to crochet a super cute and summery bralette crop top, especially now here in the UK that it's super hot, and now that we can actually wear things like that outside, I decided to show you guys a super cute bralette slash crop top that you can actually wear outside and enjoy the beautiful sun outside here in the UK. I'm super happy and I'm definitely gonna be wearing my one outside. I cannot wait, probably today or tomorrow. I'm going to be posting some pictures on my Instagram. Make sure to follow me. I post a lot of cute crochet and DIY pictures as well. And if you guys enjoyed today's video, make sure to give a massive thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe here to the channel so you can watch more videos like this one. So enjoy the video and let's begin. So this is everything that I'm going to be using for today's video. So first we have the yarn right here. This one is a Brazilian yarn. I'm going to be leaving an alternative in the description below for you guys. The same color, the same yarn weight, and also the same texture as well. This one right here is a 396 meters yarn. It's 100% cotton and is also 150 grams. And this one right here is a sport weight number 2. I'm also going to be using thread and needle, a 4 millimeters hook, a small pair of scissors, a tapestry needle, a measuring tape, and a few buttons. These buttons right here, they are all 2 centimeters each. So the first thing that we are going to be doing are the cups. So I have one completed already. I have kind of like one of the sides already completed, and then I'll show you guys the other one, and then we are going to be combining everything together. So I'm going to be showing you guys the cup. So the cup is basically this right here with the normal kind of cups with the rose, and then with the little different pattern on the sides right here going kind of around the cup. So we are going to be starting first with a slip knot, and we are going to be chaining a chain that it's long enough to go from where you want the top to be until a little bit above your nipples. So I'm going to be creating right here a chain of 20. You guys can follow exactly how I'm doing, but if you have bigger breasts, then you probably have to add more chains right here. You can add 5 or 6 more, or you can take away if you have small boobs as well. So once you have created your chain of 20, now we are gonna go up the row and gonna go around here the chain. So we are going to be holding this last stitch in place, and we are going to be chaining an extra 2. So it's going to be 22 in total, and then we are going to be working with half double crochets. So you're going to wrap the yarn around the hook, you're gonna go through that stitch that you were holding, gonna pull up a loop right here. So now we are going to be yarning over and pulling through all of the loops together. And from here we are going to be creating half double crochets until the end of the chain, and then when we get into the very last one, I'm going to be showing you guys what we are going to be doing. So as you can see, I've created all of my half double crochets on top of my chain. So when we get here into the very last one, into that one, we are going to be creating 5 half double crochets into that same stitch. It's going to be opening up the stitch a little bit, but it's completely fine. And then from here, we are going to be following the half double crochets into this very first part right here, kind of like the bottom of the half double crochet. And we are going to be creating a half double crochet right on top of here. So to know which one to start, you're going to be counting here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Into this one is the one that you're going to be starting. So that stitch right here. And then from here, we are going to be creating half double crochet on top of half double crochet. And then I'll meet you guys right at the end. So I'm here into my second to last. So this one is number 19. And then for the last one, for number 20, we are going to be inserting it right at the end of the row right here, right into that stitch. I'm also going to be using a few stitch markers. So we want to mark, of course this is something that you don't have to do, but I think it's a little bit easier. So you always get the same stitch. So we are going to be marking the middle stitch. So we have 5 right here at the top. So we have 2 on one side and 2 on the other and 1 right in the middle. So that stitch is the one that you want to mark it down. So I have here 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I'm going to be skipping 1, 2, and then into the third one is the one that I'm going to be marking it down. So every time I get into that stitch, I'm going to be doing the little shell, the 5 half double crochets again. So now to go up, we are going to be doing exactly the same as we did here. So we're going to be chaining 2, we are going to be turning the project, and then we are going to be skipping this very first stitch right here, in which is for the chain already. And then we are going to go into the second one and create a half double crochet. And then from here, we are going to be creating half double crochets all the way until we get to the stitch marker. You also want to make sure that you get those 2 half double crochets from the 5 half double crochets here on the top. So just get those as well, and then also on the other side. And when you get into this one right here, from the stitch marker, we are going to be creating again 5 half double crochets into that same stitch. And you want to place a stitch marker into the middle half double crochet again. So now we are going to be continuing here with the half double crochets, and then I'll meet you guys right at the end. So I'm here into my second to last, so I'm going to be creating my half double crochet, and then the last one, it's that one that you can see there is kind of like a stitch missing. You don't want to miss that stitch, otherwise your work is not going to be straight. Your cup is not going to be straight on the bottom. So to make sure that your cup is straight, you want to get that very last stitch right here. So it's basically like this little loop right here. You can see like that one right at the end. There is kind of like a little loop right here. It's kind of angled. So that's basically the last stitch. It's a little bit hard to get, but don't miss that one, okay? And you can see that it's kind of nice and straight here on the bottom, so that's why you want to get that very last stitch on both sides. So what we are going to be doing now is create as many rows as we need, following the same steps as I showed you guys into this very last row. I'm going to be creating 5 rows in total, because that already covers my nipples. So you're going to be creating as many rows as you need until it covers your nipples and your areolas as well. So the nipples will be kind of like right on top of the cup right here. So you want to make sure that it covers your nipples and a little bit more. You don't want to be kind of like too small, because if you move it around, people will probably see, because this row right here, there is kind of like holes in it. So that's why you want to make sure that it's quite like a little bit larger than your nipples and your areolas as well. So what I'm going to be doing now, guys, is create my 5 rows that I'm going to be doing. As you guys can see, I've created here 5 rows for the very first part of the cup, and then I'm going to be showing you guys how to make the shells going around. So as you guys can see, I have finished my 5 rows here for the beginning of the cup. So now I'm going to be showing you guys how we're going to be doing the shell. I'm going to be starting right here and then working my way up and then down like this, and then go back and forth. So to begin the row, we are going to be chaining 2, turning the project. So what we are going to be doing now is skipping this very first one right here, and into the next one, we are going to be doing a half double crochet. And then we are going to be skipping 2 stitches, and then into the next one, we are going to be doing a shell. So we are going to be doing into that same stitch right here, 2 half double crochets, a chain of 1 and 2 more half double crochets to complete here the shell. So that's basically how we create the shell. So now we are going to be skipping 2 into the next one, another shell. So 2 half double crochets, a chain of 1, and 2 more half double crochets. So I'm going to be repeating the same all the way up, and then when I'm right at the top of the cup, I'll come back and then I'll show you guys what to do next. So I'm right here on top of the shell, as you guys can see. So I have my stitch marker and I have 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches left until the one here from the stitch marker. So right here we are going to be skipping 1, 2. Into the third one, we are going to be creating another shell. So now we are going to be skipping the next one, and then into the one here from the stitch marker, we are going to be doing the top of the cup. So now we are not going to be doing 5 half double crochets right here at the top. We are going to be doing only 3 half double crochets. So you can go ahead and create 3 half double crochets into that same stitch, and you're going to be returning the stitch marker into the middle half double crochet right here. And then from here we are going to be repeating exactly what we did into the other side. So we are going to be skipping 1 stitch. Into the next one we are going to be doing a shell, and then from here we are going to be following the pattern all the way down, and then I'll show you guys the end in the next row as well. So I'm right here at the end, so I'm going to be skipping 2 into the third one. I'm going to be creating a shell, and then I will have right here 2 stitches left. So this one and then the very last one right here. So I'm going to be skipping the next one and I'm going to go straight into the last one, and then I'm going to be creating right here my last half double crochet. So this is how the cup should look like right now. So we have the shells right here going around, and you want to make sure that you get the very last stitches so your cup it's very nice and straight here on the bottom as well. So we are always going to be starting with a chain of 2 and then turning our project. So what we are going to be doing now, I find this a little bit easier, but you guys can find any other way that you guys prefer to do, kind of like to continue here the rows. So I just skip this one, and then right on top of the very first half double crochet right here, I create another half double crochet. So I have kind of 2 right here. It's kind of like half of the shell, and then from here I go straight into the space in between here, the shells, as you guys can see, right in between this little space. And then right here we are going to be creating another shell right on top of that. So 2 half double crochets, a chain of 1 and 2 half double crochets. And then from here we are going to be creating shells on top of each of the spaces here in between the previous row, in between here the shells. So you're just gonna follow the pattern, and every time you find a little space in between the shells, you're going to be creating another shell. So I'm going to be repeating this all the way up, and then I'll meet you guys right at the top. So when we get here right at the top of the cup, you'll see that we have 2 shells and then the 3 half double crochets. So we are going to be doing a shell in between here, this shell and the 3 half double crochets. So right here we are going to be doing a shell, and then when you get into the stitch marker, we are going to be creating another 3 half double crochets on top of this one. So now we are going to be creating a shell in between the 3 half double crochets in this shell right here, and then continue the pattern all the way down. So as you guys can see, I'm here right at the end. You remember I've done here to the chain and then the next half double crochet. So right here into that space we also have to do a shell, which is basically the last one for this row. And to finish this row we are going to be creating a half double crochet into the very last stitch. So So this is how the second row looks like, and now we are going to be following the same pattern until we have the sizing of the cup that we want. You guys will be copying exactly the same as the very last row I showed you guys into all of the other rows. So you're going to be chaining 3 and then creating the half double crochet on top of the first half double crochet here on the shell, and then continue the shell all the way around. And you're also going to be copying exactly the same as I showed you guys here on the top of the cup as well. So for my cup, I'm going to be doing 4 rows, as you guys can see. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. You guys can do less or more if you need, okay? This is the part that you guys need to make the size of the cup that you want for the top. So I'm gonna go ahead now, guys, and do the last 2 that I have to do here for my cup, and then I'll be back to show you guys what to do next. So as you can see right here, I have my cup completed. I also have the other one with a few other parts that I'm also going to be explaining to you guys. So what I did on this cup, this one right here is my left side, if you guys are wondering, and this one right here is my right side. So what I did was I chose one of the sides to create the back piece. So you guys can go ahead and choose one of them. We are going to be using the same method, the same technique that I've created this extra little piece right here. Is basically the same technique to make the back piece and also both of the fronts as well. So because I have this one completed, what I'm going to be doing is fasten off this cup, and I'm going to be attaching on the other side, and I'm going to be doing this part right here into this side right here. I'm going to check how many rows I'm going to be doing for here, because probably this one is going to be shorter and this one a little bit longer, so we can overlap the project right here, so we can actually have a little space for the buttons. So I'm going to fasten off right here on this side. So to fasten off, I just chain 1 and then cut my yarn, and then I just pull the yarn to fasten off. I leave a little bit so I can weave in at the back. And what I'm going to be doing now is attaching into this side right here, so I can create that little extra piece for the buttons. So I'm going to be creating a slip knot, and I'm going to be attaching right on top of the chain 3 right here. So right into this stitch, into the very first stitch you can find. So just attaching right here with the slip stitch, and then from here we can start the shells. So we are going to be following exactly as we have right here to create the little extra piece here for the buttons. So I'm going to be starting right here with a chain of 2, and then I'm just going to be following the pattern. So right here I have a little space, so right here I'm going to be creating a shell. And then I'm just going to be following the pattern right here. So for this little part right here, I decided that I wanted to do 11 centimeters, because then that's just enough to cover a little bit the front of the top, and then you have around 5 or 4 buttons here at the front. But you guys can decide if you guys want to do smaller, or if you guys want to do a little bit longer as well, so that's going to be up to you. And for this one, I've created here 4 shells into 4 spaces here that I had going up. So I'm going to be doing exactly right here. So I have 1 completed, so I'm going to be doing 3 more. So what I'm going to be doing when I finish here with the shells that I wanted to do is just go through the chain 1 space right here, and I'm going to be connecting here with a slip stitch. So that's just what I decided to do, so there is a nicer finish here at the end. So now we can go up and continue here with the rows. So that's basically the sizing that I want to do. So I'm just going to be continuing here with the shells going up. And it's basically the same as I showed you guys before. Chain 2 right here, turn project. When you have the shell here, you're gonna go into the second stitch available and then creating a half double crochet, and then from here you're just going to be following the pattern exactly as I showed you guys, going around the cup. But instead of going around, we are just gonna go basically straight up. So when I get here right at the end of the second row here on the side, you want to create a half double crochet on top of the very last one, of the shell, as you can see, and then one right at the end of the chain 2 that we've created here right at the beginning. So at the moment right here, for the extra little piece that I've created here, I have 3 rows, and for this side right here I have 2 rows only. So you have to even here the numbers of rows first, and then you're going to be adding the extra that you need to basically overlap for the buttons. So I'm going to be using this one as the base for my buttons, and this one is the one that I'm going to be overlapping on top. And what you guys have to do now is to check how many rows you need here to cover the buttons, because you want it to be kind of like this. So you want to know exactly how many rows you have to do extra, so the button will be kind of into that row. So I think I'm gonna do 1 extra row, and then I'll see how that looks, because now that's how it looks like. So I have to do 1 more row so it matches on this one, and then I'll do 1 extra so it's kind of right in the middle. So I will see how that looks, and then I will be back with you guys. So I'm going to be doing here 4 rows on the right side, and then 3 rows here for the left side, just at the moment for now, and then I will confirm with you guys how many I did. So I just pinned the top here to myself. As you guys can see, I'm recording with my phone, so you guys can see that this part right here is gonna go all the way around, and you have to do as many rows as you need in order for them to meet here on the other side. As you can see, I'll probably need to do like 4 or 5 rows more so it kind of meets here on the side. So this one is the side that has 1 extra row. This is with 3 rows, this is with 4 rows, and I want this one to overlap and the button to be like right in the middle. So I think I'm happy with this. I think it's kind of like in the middle. If you guys can see, I don't think I want it to open here. I just like this kind of cleavage, and you can see that there is a little bit more coverage here on the bottom. You guys can see how kind of I plan my ideas so you guys can see how I usually do stuff. So I pin into myself and then I decide. So I think I'm happy with that. So I'm going to be keeping one side with 3 rows, the extra little piece, and then the other side with 4 rows, so just 1 extra. The back piece, in which is basically, guys, just creating exactly how I showed you guys here, the same measurement and the same amount of shells and everything, and then attach into one of the sides. You can see that it is basically created into one of the sides. Create into one of the sides, and you're going to be creating as long as you need, as you can see. So it goes all the way around your back and it meets here on the other side. So I'm going to let you know how many rows I did for the back piece, and you're going to be attaching the yarn exactly as I showed you guys here, and then start the rows. So I have here all of the cups completed and all of the extra parts that I have to do. So now I'm just going to let you know how many rows I did for each of them, so you guys can go ahead and do on yours as well. For my left cup, I've done 3 rows here for the front of the cup, as I already mentioned, and for the back here I've done 46 rows. So I'm going to be measuring everything for you guys. And also for my right side, I've done 4 rows. So 4, 3, and 46. And if I measure here for you guys, so from my very first row here for the back piece, that's 38.5 centimeters. And here for the front, I've done 3 centimeters. And here for the right side, I've done around 4 centimeters. And I'm also going to be measuring here the cup for you guys. So the length of my cup here, it's 23.5, nearly 24 centimeters. The width of the cup is 14.5. So once you have all of your little extra parts completed, the back and both the fronts, we are going to be now attaching everything together. So I just left everything without fasten off, so I'm going to fasten off all of my ends right here. You want to make sure that your cup here is on the reverse, and this one as well, because we are going to be sewing on the reverse. So we are just going to be putting these two together, as you can see, and we are just going to be sewing it right here. So I'm going to be placing a stitch marker where I have to finish, so I know exactly the size that I need. So it's basically exactly the same as on the other side right here. So I'm going to be trying to sew with the end of my yarn right here. So I'm just going to be creating a knot with these two. I'm going to be using my tapestry needle, so I'm going to be threading my tapestry needle right here. So we are going to get one entire stitch from this side, one from the other side, and we are going to be sewing the two together. There is one stitch here, one here, and you just sew them together. And then we are just going to be sewing all the way up. So I'm just going to be removing my stitch marker, and I'm just going to be sewing here them together. When you're happy here with the sewing, we can go ahead and weave in and fasten off. So what I do, I just go through a couple of stitches. And then I just fasten off into any other stitches here that I can find. So I go through that stitch like 3 times. And then on the last one, I create a little loop, and then I go through the loop and I basically fasten off right here, and then I can go ahead and cut my yarn. And this is basically how I weave in and fasten off all of my yarns. So now I'm going to be running a little finishing here on the bottom and also right here on the top. I'm just going to be kind of doing a little shell, but in a different way with half double crochets. And I'm going to be choosing here my left side so I can actually do the crochet already on the right side, as you guys can see. So the reverse is right here. If I start here, what's gonna happen, I'm going to be doing that on the reverse. So you wanna make sure that you do on the right side. So I'm going to be attaching right at the end of the row. So I'm going to be getting this one right here, and I'm going to be creating a slip stitch right here. So for the shells here on the bottom, we are going to be chaining 2, and then into that same stitch right here that we've started, we are going to be creating a half double crochet. What you're going to be doing is just kind of like putting this little shell that we've created towards here at the bottom. You're going to be choosing a stitch, and then right here you're going to be creating a slip stitch. And then from here you're going to be starting again, so chaining 2, and then into that same stitch we are going to be creating a half double crochet, and then you're going to be measuring that down, and you're going to be attaching that in place here on the bottom with a slip stitch. So chain 2, half double crochet into the same stitch, and slip stitching that down. So I'm just going to be repeating that all the way down, and then I'll meet you guys right at the end. So when you get towards the end, you're just going to be creating the very last shell. As you can see, I'm here into my very last one. Just going to be choosing a last stitch and slip stitch that in place. So now you can just chain 1 and fasten off right here. You can already weave in all of the yarns as well if you guys prefer. So what I'm going to be doing now is attaching my yarn into one of the corners right here, and I'm going to be creating the shells going across. And I'm going to be repeating exactly as I showed you guys here on the bottom. So attaching to any of the sides and start your shells. And also I'm going to be creating a few little shells here on the top, right at the front right here. So I'm going to be doing probably 2 here and 1 on this side. So if you want, you guys can also do that as well. So once we have created all the shells going around where you guys want them to be, we are going to be cleaning all the project and weaving all of the yarns as I did already. As you can see, the project is all cleaned. Even here the straps that I've created. So what we are going to be doing now is create both of the straps here for the top, and I decided to go for those kind of tie on the top, kind of like strap, but you guys can decide if you guys want to be all the way kind of around the shoulders, or if you guys want it like this, then you guys can just play around on how you guys want this strap to look like. So the one at the front, we are going to be placing it right in the middle right here on the top of the cup, and then for the one at the back right here, I've counted these little shells here, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 shells. So I'm going to be doing right on top of this one, so you want to make sure that the project is on the right side. So once you have it attached, you guys can choose how long you want. So I'm going to be doing a chain of 80 for the back. So I'm just going to be starting right here. So when I have my chain of 80, I'll show you guys what to do when we get right at the top. So once you have your chain of 80, what you're going to be doing is chaining 1. So we can kind of return here on the chain, and then you're going to be skipping that chain, the first one, and then into the second one we are going to be starting with single crochets. So we're going to be creating single crochets going down here the chain, making sure to cover all of the chains here going down. So I'm getting here towards the end, and you want to make sure that you get all of the chains. So here is my last one. So now to attach here the strap to the base, we are just gonna go through the same place where we've created here the slip stitch. So you're gonna go through there. You wanna make sure that it's nice and tight, and you're just going to be slip stitching that in place. And then right here we can chain 1 and we can fasten off. So that's how it looks like. So when you finish here, what you can do, you can just turn on the reverse and you can weave in and fasten off right here, so we can move into the one at the top. So you guys can go ahead and slip stitch right into the very first half double crochet right here. And then from here we are going to be starting our chain. So I'm going to be creating here a chain of 70. So I'm going to be starting my chain. So I'm going to be creating my chain of 70 and then come back with single crochets. And then I'm going to be attaching right here with you guys, so you guys can see what I did. So when we return here to the base, what I like to do here, so we cover all of the other 2 half double crochet right here. So we're gonna go through the next stitch, and you're going to pull up a loop right here, and then you're gonna go into the next one, and you're also going to pull up a loop, making sure that it's nice and tight here, all of the stitches. And you're going to yarn over and pull through all of those loops. Just like this. Right here we are going to chain 1 and fasten off, and now we can weave in at the back here these 2 yarns. So now here we have both straps completed, so you can go ahead and repeat the same on the other side. And now the last step is to sew the buttons. I'm so excited. So pretty this top, guys, and so easy as well. So you want to make sure that you do have the one with more rows here at the front to be on top, so you know that you're not going to be sewing the buttons by mistake on this one. And now you guys can decide where you're going to be placing the buttons. So when you guys have your buttons where you want to sew them in place, you guys can go ahead and start sewing them. I'm going to be sewing with my thread and needle. So this one right here, the color is very, very close here to the color of my top. As you guys can see, it's a little bit lighter, but I don't really mind because it's still a little bit kind of purplish. Altogether looks very pink, but it's not as pink. So what I like to do is just go through a little stitch here where I want to sew my button. and then I'm just gonna go through the loop that I've created here at the end of my thread. So I am using double thread here on my needle, and I made a knot with both ends here. So I can just go through the end and it's going to fasten off here, as you can see. And then right here I'm going to be sewing my button. So just sewing as you would sew a normal button. Just go back and forth until you feel like it's nicely and secured in place. Once you're happy with the sewing, what I like to do is just bring here my yarn to the front, but at the back of the button. This is what my grandma taught me. And you go around and around the button as much as you want until you feel like it's super secured in place. And then right here you're going to be moving the button to one side and you're going to fasten off here on the side, so you don't have any threads at the back. Once you've done that, you can go ahead and cut the thread, and that's how you sew a button. You can sew however you guys like as well. So what I'm going to be doing now is just sewing all of the other buttons in place, and then I'll show you guys how the top looks like in the finished project. As you guys can see, I have finished sewing all of the buttons in place and it looks so pretty. So now we can go ahead and close here the front of the top. But yeah guys, I think we finished. I think we have a completed crop top little bralette here. As you guys can see, super easy to make, and I think it turned out really pretty. So easy and pretty at the same time. And also the straps is adjustable as well. You guys can just play around with it and choose the sizing that you guys want, how tight you guys want, if you guys want a little bit looser. And also, if you guys enjoyed today's video, make sure to leave a massive thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you guys end up making this tutorial, make sure to tag me on social media, Facebook and also Twitter if you guys want. I love to see your creations. You guys always change a little bit the design, and I love to see everything that you guys come up following my tutorials. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you on my next video. Bye guys!